Have you ever felt an emotion so powerful and uncontrollable, such as joy, relief, excitement, or love? Have you ever felt an emotion so strong and hard to deal with, such as stress, anger, fear, or sorrow? There's no way to get through what you are feeling, yet the minute you put on that song, everything becomes clear. Those sounds organize your thoughts, and those ideas get organized into lyrics. Somehow that story sounds very familiar, and you feel like that artist has been your lifelong friend. And that song was written just for you. Now, how is this possible? How can a bunch of frequencies and words create such expression and emotion? How can something invisible make things so clear? Why do we have such a special connection with music, and what is music? Well, I actually remember I got to figure that out when I was about 11 years old. I used to live in Mexico City, where people spent 50% of their time stuck in traffic. And the only thing to get through was the music on the radio. However, to me, it only sounded like blurry background noise I didn't really pay attention to. Once I finally got to school, we would have music class once a week. It was our opportunity to get away from academics and learn about classical music. Looking back, it was a great class. However, I also remember I used to really hate that class. And not because of boredom or an act of rebellion, but because of fear. We would have monthly exams where we needed to pass one by one. And each time it was my turn, it sounded like I was scratching a chalkboard. In order to avoid the shame and nervousness, I once even faked being sick to escape an exam. I now realize I wasn't afraid of the class itself, I was afraid of music. I was afraid I was terrible at something so beloved, and I was convinced I wasn't ever meant to play an instrument. That was until I started to really listen. When I was about 15 years old, I started to really listen to that background radio music and my parents' music. Upon noticing my interest, my dad introduced me to a band called Queen, a band whose music was built around a particular sound that stood out to me, the electric guitar. I continued to discover new bands and artists on my own, and I realized I had discovered something that still seemed very complex, yet really spoke to me. Later that same year, the other guitarist in my family, my uncle, gave me the proper introduction to the guitar world through lessons, his own story, and the band Led Zeppelin. Not only did I get to know my family better, I got to know myself better. It felt like I had discovered something I wasn't supposed to, being such unique and complex music that was made way before I was even born, and still felt like it was written just for me. And that was a feeling only music would have been able to do. Later that same year, I got my first electric guitar. It felt unreal to actually have one in my hands. It felt delicate, yet sturdy and solid. You could easily slide your fingers through the wooden fretboard and the flexible strings. It kind of felt like driving for the first time. I knew all the power I had in my hands, yet felt intimidating to even start. What if it wasn't meant for me? Leaving those insecurities behind, I tried my first chord. I could feel the guitar vibrate and the power of creating music. And there's where I realized the true definition and power of music. It's power to transcend your playlist or instrument and form your identity. It's power to create emotion and connection without saying a single word. It's power as a universal language. Well, we all know what music is and why we love music. But do we really know? Or have we just normalized something so extraordinary? Think about it. Music is just organized sounds that in a succession form a song. And on the other hand, the brain only triggers emotions when they are necessary for survival. Then, how does something as complex and abstract as music create such consistent emotions when they aren't necessary at the moment? Well, studies at the Harvard Medical School have shown that when we listen to music, our brain releases dopamine, which makes us happy and even addicted to the feeling that song we now love creates, until we hear it so much we hate it. Another possibility of why this happens is because our brain loves patterns, and music is just that, a pattern of notes. As we are listening, we are constantly anticipating the next melodies, rhythms, and harmonies that may be on the song. That being the same reason why we don't like music we aren't familiar with. Another possibility of why this happens is because of a process called entrainment, which, when a music or song is fast-paced, our heart rate and breathing patterns will match the beat and therefore have a special connection with our bodies. This being the same reason why it is much easier to exercise while listening to music. All this shows that there is, in fact, a physical and even biological connection between ourselves and music. One so natural that it is even involuntary. But I don't think that's it. I believe music goes beyond just dopamine and patterns and sounds. There must be a reason why I could feel all that emotion and connection without hearing a single word and just having a guitar on my hands for the first time. To understand truly why this happens, we must acknowledge one thing. I'm not the only one who feels this way about music. Let's be honest. There isn't a single person here who doesn't like music. In fact, I don't think there's ever been a person who doesn't like music. Even Beethoven, one of the greatest musicians of all time, became deaf, and he still loved music. What we all have unconsciously realized is that music goes beyond just signs and sounds, but it can be used as a tool. This tool can make us help convey our emotions, make tasks easier, and even dance at a party. But another group of people, musicians, have realized the greater power this tool has. Its power as the universal language. It is said music is a universal language because it speaks to the one thing we all people understand, emotion. It breaks down complex feelings such as love and sorrow and puts it in up to 2 or 3 minutes of music. Heroes, musicians of mine, like Paul McCartney and Jimi Hendrix, understood this. They knew music wasn't meant for money or fame, but rather it was meant for the people. They wrote songs about love and unity while the world was in conflict and war. Interesting enough, these messages and songs are as relevant today as they were back then. All this shows the power of music. Its power that no matter someone's age, ethnicity, or culture, everyone can understand music and will always be accompanied by music. The Beatles, one of the greatest bands ever, used to write one song a day. And not only because they were great musicians and songwriters, but because they needed to. Regardless of what they had on their mind, good or bad, or if they felt like writing, they did, because it was a necessity. Music was their tool, and music was their companion. The moment I grabbed that guitar for the first time, I knew I had in my hands a tool that could change the world, change my life, and a lifelong companion. Well, I never thought I would have been so passionate about music, that music would have been such a great part of my life. I can't go one day without listening to music, whether it's in my room, school, or the car. Everywhere I go, I am followed by music, the same way I follow everywhere music is. Once you are hooked by something, you start to search for it everywhere. I can't go to listen one song without looking for the guitar. The same way now I can't go without life, without searching for music. So, how is this possible? How can a bunch of frequencies and words create such expression and emotion? Why do we have such a special connection with music? And what is music? Well, seems like we're back where we started. Whether music is just signs, sounds, and patterns, or the universal language for change, or a tool and a lifelong companion, maybe the synonym of fear and intimidation, or the synonym of emotion, expression, passion, and cool-looking people from the 80s. Whichever definition you have chosen and connected with the most today, I believe it can all be summarized just by one quote by the jazz musician Louis Armstrong. Music is life itself. From the perseverance and courage I was taught from playing guitar, to the creativity and freedom I was taught from songwriting, I realized music was full of life the same way life is full of music. I started to think of life as a song. A song can be uplifting and full of energy, but sad and calm when necessary. That song can be quick and full of ideas and make every second count. Or it can take its time and make every note count. You can make that song safe and comfortable, as you know a song like that can never fail. Or you can make it more creative and risky, as you know the reward will be greater. And it is okay for that tempo of that song to go slow at times. It will make the joy of the chorus even greater. Whichever route your song goes, you have to always know and remember one thing. You are the songwriter of that song. You are the songwriter of your own life. If you are sure you hate or fear something, try it again. You might find your next new favorite hobby. And if you feel like you've grown tired and uninspired of your own song, change the rhythm. Find your own style, and you can even write a whole new different song. But don't fear change. We all grow tired of our favorite songs eventually. That song needs to be inspiring to you the same way it is to others. Write a song that when the final chorus plays, you would love to play and repeat. One you'll remember and be remembered by. You only need to have music in your life. As Greek philosopher Plato once said, music gives soul to the universe, wings to the mind, flight to the imagination, and life to everything. Now, how are you living life as a song? Thank you.